Welcome to Zantastic. This is the podcast where we find out what makes you fantastic. And in this episode, I have a very special guest. Randy Gage is the author of dozens of books. I think he's working on another one. I can't even count them. Too many to list here. He has been teaching people for decades how to live a more prosperous life. And in my interview, I dive deeper. How did he get to the place where he found prosperity when it wasn't taught to him at a young age? Stick around to the end because you'll get some predictions on what he thinks is going to happen to Gen Z and how we're going to see multi-billionaires come out of this generation. And he'll share why he thinks that's going to happen. As well, I ask him some questions about AI, how he's using it, and how it is helping him in his business. Thanks for being here, and I hope you enjoy this conversation with Randy Gage. Randy Gage, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
Hey, Kathy, great to be on. I appreciate you bringing me in.
I am so delighted to speak to you. My husband has a few of your books, so I'm well aware of your work and the number of lives that you have impacted over the years, just inspiring people to live their best lives, and especially in the field of entrepreneurship. Just for the audience, many of my people may not be familiar with you. Give us a little background of how you got here.
How I got here was, well, you definitely don't want to parallel my journey. I was a guy who started off in a jail cell at 15 years old for armed robbery and burglary, and had some issues along the way, lost a business, lost another business, a lot of health challenges, but I always persevered through them, right? I always kept looking for the next chapter. I've always been entrepreneurial, even as a kid. We probably shouldn't say this here, but I made my way through middle school selling dope. So I was a good entrepreneur at an early age. And honestly, I mean, at 12, I'd allow the raking leaves, shoveling snow, babysitting, mowing lawns, whatever, because I had a poor mom raising 3 kids by herself. And if I wanted one of those Schwinn bicycles, I had to earn the money to get it. And so I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I love working with entrepreneurs. I actually run a Breakthrough You, which is like an entrepreneur accelerator, mastermind coaching group. And just sent book number 16 to my editor.
Amazing.
And I've been on stages as a professional speaker since 1991, but really all my work, I have a podcast, I have a blog. It's all centered around how you live a prosperous life. The timeless principles of prosperity, and then how we apply them in this crazy world that we're living in today.
Yeah, for sure. Now, but you did not start out with those lessons of prosperity young. How did you come across the prosperous mindset when it wasn't given to you?
2 things saved me, I think. One, I got involved with network marketing, and as a 20-year-old guy, I got approached by Amway and joined Amway. And they were famous. I was in one of those teams that was famous for the book of the month, tapes of the week. And they were, a lot of you guys watching, you'll have to Google this. We had these things called cassette tapes. So you put a subscription, you got 2 cassette tapes every week that you had to listen to. And they were some kind of self-development, personal growth, leadership training stuff. And then a book you had to read every month. So that introduced me, network marketing introduced me to self-development and personal growth. And then probably when I was 30, I had a business, a pizzeria that failed. IRS seized it, auctioned it off for taxes. I was just down to nothing. I sold my furniture. I'm sleeping on the floor. Somebody invites me to go to Unity Church. I go there. Someone invites me to Science of Mind Church. I go there and I discover Charles Fillmore, Ernest
Yeah.
Holmes, Catherine Ponder, trying to think of his name in New York City, the other Butterworth, Eric Butterworth.
Yeah.
So I learned the spiritual stuff, and like the book Prosperity by Charles Fillmore,
Mhm.
the science of mind, and combining that with what I had learned from some of the business stuff, that's when I really became passionate. And I've spent the last, 35, 40 years just digging deeper into those wondrous areas, of just working on me. And then I'm very, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for, okay, how does this apply in the space for marketers, for business people?
Yeah, for sure. So I loved Unity Church too. I was raised Catholic, but got to go to a Unity Church when I was really young, and so much wisdom came out of the work that they did there. Do those teachings impact the coaching program that you have now?
100%, because they
Yeah.
impact my life on a daily basis. And I only teach what works for me, right? I don't like read marketing books or leadership books and say, okay, here's what I'm going to teach. I'm in the trenches. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a builder. I build stuff. I built stuff all my life, successful multi-million dollar companies. So, and I'm able to do that because of these influences that I've had, books like that, teachings like that. And so, yeah, it's a very integral part to my work.
That's amazing. A lot of what you talk about is not just prosperity with money, a prosperous life. Listened to a recent thing that you were talking about. You could go to this very fancy hotel, but if you're there by yourself and you're unhealthy and all of the other things in your life aren't lined up, it can impact your enjoyment of the financial abundance that you have. Can you talk a little bit about that balance and maybe what have you learned in that respect?
Yeah. So I thought it was all about money because that's what I chased, because I was started poor. I hated being poor. I wanted to be rich. And so once I started making money, I just dived deeper, 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 double down, double down, double down, try to make more money. And I did. I kept making more and more and more money. But it didn't stop the personal demons I had of addiction, insecurity. I'm on the spectrum, so social anxiety issues, things like that. And my health was terrible. You
Hmm.
know, being I left the house when I was 15 and I lived by myself. So what do you eat when you're 15 years old? You eat cake and cookies and pizza and candy. And I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, drank 10 cups of coffee, drank 8 sodas. I mean, just garbage for decades. And
Mm.
that's why I lost the business at 30. I feel like my health was so bad. I just couldn't even fight for my dreams anymore. I couldn't fight for the business because I couldn't even get out of bed. And so you learn that it isn't all about the money. And this breakthrough you program I do, I mean, I have people come in, they earn millions of dollars, but they come to me because their kids couldn't pick them out of a police lineup.
Wow.
They come to me because they know they're like one bucket of KFC away from a stroke, and they've realized, no, I sold my health for money, it wasn't worth it. I sold my relationships for money, it wasn't worth it. um, I tell you something would be great for everybody listening or watching right now. I have a free PDF homepage of my website, randygage.com. Maybe you can put it in the show notes if you could, please.
Definitely will.
And just, it's free on the homepage. It's called The 7 Elements of an Abundant Life. And just download that and read through. And that kind of shows my whole philosophy of what I believe a prosperous life should look like.
Yeah. 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 What changed? I'm interested in What things happened in your life that made you realize that it wasn't just about the money? I know you hit rock bottom with your health. How did you turn that around?
You value it after that, right?
Yeah.
So I just became I got into exercise. I worked out. I changed what I ate. I changed what I drank. I'm clean and sober. I, you know, I mean, I'm 66 years old now, and I was literally 1 month ago playing in the World Series with my softball team. And I'm the oldest guy on the team by a lot, and I led the team in the World Series, the batting average, right? Because I'm take care of my, I value my health now, and it's
Yeah.
sometimes most people are probably smarter than me. They figured that out long before me. I was kind of a slow learner. I had to lose things in many cases to really appreciate the value of them.
Yeah, for sure. I think, well, my audience knows my husband had a stroke 4 years ago, and his stroke was my wake up call. I'm a caregiver for him now. And yeah, so I'm lifting every single day, running, all of that kind of stuff. Because once you see what happens, it's a huge wake up call. So I value that you value that, because it's so
Yeah.
critical. You can't enjoy your life because he did very well for himself, but and a big beautiful house that he wanted, and I enjoy it, and he's can't enjoy what he created. So it's incredibly important. So I wanted to bring that up because I know that's something that you believe in very much, and I think it's just foundational for enjoying what you create. So I think that's critically important. Um, for entrepreneurs, it's such a temptation, isn't it, to just get so focused on work and money and building and 60-hour hustle culture, all of this stuff. Talk to me a little bit about how to create a prosperous life that brings in money and gives you that balance as well.
So over there on my drafting table, I have a big 12-month chart for 2026. I do 4 retreats for this high level of this Breakthrough You program, right? So every third month, there's one of those retreats. There's a few one-day things I do. Of course, companies hire me to speak. I have all my stuff I do. But what I have blocked off over there is 1 week vacation every month. 12 months, 12 weeks vacation. And I do that because I know I get more done in 3 weeks than I used to do in 4, because I'm refreshed, I'm revitalized, my creative energies, it's just, I'm vibrating at such a higher level. And I believe most entrepreneurs are workaholics, and that's no different than alcoholic, drugaholic, whatever holic you want. It's not going to serve you. Um, the I was really profoundly influenced by a couple of books by Dan Sullivan, who's the guy who founded Strategic Coach. He
Mm-hmm.
wrote 2 that he co-authored with Ben Hardy, and 10x is better than 2x, and who, not how. And then Ben has just recently came out with a book on scaling himself, which I devoured the minute it came out. I really took those to heart because I had been one of those people that worked, and took it as a badge of honor. And then, as I got older now, I just, the money thing is out of the way. I don't have to chase anything to impress anybody anymore. I'm just not vibrating on that frequency. I filter everything through lifestyle. So I've set aside the week. I mean, literally, I got a speech. It'd be the easiest 40 grand I could do from home because it's live stream in Iran on December 25th. Because of course in Iran they don't celebrate Christmas. We here in the US kind of do. So they don't know. And they say, hey, we're having this convention. We want Randy. So they call the agent. I have an agent in Dubai who represents me over in that area of the world. And he said, hey, they love you. And I'm like, sorry, I can't do it. I'm going home to visit my mother. And I'm going to be with her on Christmas. I don't know how many Christmases I have left with her and whatever. And they ended up rebooking it, right? They literally moved the date of the convention to the Saturday before so that they can have me as the opening keynote speaker. But if they weren't going to move it, it was okay. I wasn't going to do the event because, again, I know, this is the third time I'm going home. She's up in Wisconsin. It's the third time I'll go home this year. But she's like 87 or 88. I don't know how many Christmases I have left with her, how many visits, but it might be in the single digits, right? So I'm not going to take that for granted. There's no amount of money anyone could pay me that would take the place of my mother, right?
Yeah.
So as you mature and you understand, and then you realize I can, so I got those, I mentioned those books from Sullivan. So Sam, who you spoke to probably booking this thing, Sam is my executive assistant. I hired him this year and said, listen, your job is to just keep me operating in my genius zone all the time. When I come back from a speech, I need the car to be washed and filled up with gas. I need food in the refrigerator. Find me a Colombian abuelita who's going to come in every week and cook all my meals for the week and put them in Rubbermaid containers, help Rocio organize the housekeeping. Just let me do my genius stuff. And that's all I do, right? And every entrepreneur has to look at that. Now, maybe you can't start with an executive assistant with the kind of money I pay him, and you can't have but I'm telling you, if you're an entrepreneur, particularly you solopreneurs, right? I know what it is to be a solopreneur. When you're doing the business, you're not getting the business. When you're getting the business, you're not doing the business. You have to break that cycle. And you have to recognize, I can't afford to wash my clothes. I can't afford to mow my own lawn. I can't afford to clean my own house. I can't afford to fill in the blank, right? I've got to bring in people who can handle those things for me. Or and like for me, I reclaimed another 20 hours a week, at least, maybe more, by creating AI agents who are handling repetitive work stuff for me. And we all have to do that. That's where, we can go from here.
Yeah. Question, a little off topic, but are you using AI? How do you use AI as an author?
I actually got invited by Miami-Dade College to teach a course how to write using AI without plagiarizing and the thing I want to get across to those kids is don't let AI do your thinking for you. Or that's where you're going to just decay away and you're going to it's terrible. And don't just say, write a book for me or write a report for me or write a blog post for me, because it's going to be crap. You have to, I created a agent who is my second brain. It thinks like me. It can write like me. I can run anything by it, right? I created an app just for my podcast. Like you, I do a podcast. I can literally say, I'm booking Jim Smith and get the stuff ready. And in 4 seconds, researches him, gives me 5 angles for the show, gives me 15 sample questions to ask him, does the write-up for the show, does the YouTube write-up, suggests the keywords for the YouTube write-up, gives 10 social media promo things in literally 3.5 seconds. Okay, I wouldn't have done that all myself, right? Sam, other people would have, but it's like 7 hours worth of work that I would have done an hour of it. Now it's 3 seconds. It's done. And back to your question about writing. I use it. I always write the first draft, and then like this book I just finished. Um, After I wrote the entire manuscript, I said, "Hey, did I jump the shark anywhere? Did I leave out something? Does it make sense? Is it very nuanced questions, which AI handled brilliantly." And then I just said, well, how about the segues between each chapter? Is any ideas on how to end one chapter so it's kind of a cliffhanger to the next one? Boom, 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 boom. 4 seconds later, it's got it.
Yeah.
I took the table of contents. Okay, here's the 15 chapter titles. What would make them more compelling? It came up with it. Then I took the title. Here's my title and my subtitle. Is it good, or would you make any suggestions? Came up with, I said, give me 20 other titles. And it came up with what became the title. I actually took the title, which from the suggestion of my agent.
Very interesting. So you're using it almost the way you're not giving control of the work to AI, but you're using AI almost as an gut check editor to
Yes.
refine it. That's brilliant. Excellent. I think that's really useful because I think a lot of people look at AI and it's like, oh, well, AI is just doing all of the writing and doing all of the work. But I think that
But
as an
that's so
author,
obvious when they do that, right? It's just, I have authors who send me books, and I don't, so anyone don't send me your book. I only do it for people that I know now because I get way too many. I can't say yes. So like they have to be a personal friend that I know and they had a book. But I've had a couple, they sent it to me and I just said, you really don't want to quote from me and you really don't want to put out this book because this is AI. This is the epitome of AI slop. It's not your voice. It's not your IP. It's not your point of view. You got to go back to the drawing board because it's
yeah.
not going to serve you if you put this book out in the world.
Good that you tell people the honest truth. I think that is amazing. I really want to get into your program, but before that, one of the questions that I have is, I firmly believe that your beliefs run your reality. It's kind of like the operating system of your mind. What you believe basically starts reflecting back to you. And I wanted to ask you, if somebody wants a prosperous life, what is the most important belief that they need to address in order to do that?
The biggest issue that people have when they come to me is worthiness issues.
Mhm.
They've been programmed that they're not worthy through organized religion, through the government, through the education system, through what I call the data sphere, social media, regular media, TV shows, movies, books, plays, operas. They all have this subliminal programming in them. And so much of it is money is bad, rich people are evil. To be a successful business person, you got to be a terrible parent. You got to neglect your kids. To run a successful business, you have to exploit your workers and pillage and plunder the environment. There's just so many limiting negative beliefs about money and success. And it was really enlightening for me. I took a 2-year sabbatical. I shut down my podcast, my blog, my social media, everything. I sold everything I had or gave it away and said, I'm just going to travel the world and work on me. And during that time, I did kind of a deep dive study into all the major organized religions of the world. And it was really fascinating because I feel like the core message of those religions was very similar and it was very positive. The core message was love. But when it comes to organized religion, then I felt like they were hijacking the message. And there was so much insidious negative programming. Now, we won't pick on the Catholic Church, but you mentioned you were Catholic and then you discovered unity, right? I think why people find their way to unity and science of mind and places like those is because they don't have the dogma, they don't have the doctrine, they don't have the judgment. And so when you study all the religion and you see the thing of karma, and then if someone thinks they're here in this lifetime paying penance because they were a camel thief in their last life, what's the chance they're going to allow themselves to be healthy, happy, and prosperous? Pretty low, right? If you believe you're Buddhist and you believe you need 192 lifetimes before you reach enlightenment, and you're only on lifetime number 111 right now with this one, what's the chance you're going to be successful? Allow yourself to be. If you're raised in the Catholic Church and you went to Sunday school and the nuns were rapping your knuckles with the ruler and telling you you were born a sorry sinner and you should spend the rest of your life prostrating yourself and begging for forgiveness and trying to become worthy. And if you do that your entire life, if you sacrifice, then you're going to get the good stuff in the afterlife. And there's so much of that, right? So people don't think they're worthy. So they have this conscious program which says, yeah, I want to take my company public. I want to float an IPO. I want to create a chain of 27 dry cleaning stores in Michigan, or I want to write the great American novel, or I'm going to start this nonprofit organization which solves this problem. They have these bold, daring, wonderful goals on the conscious mind, but they have the subconscious programming that they don't deserve that. What is going to happen? Well, and everyone who watches your podcast or listens to it knows, if you have your subconscious mind is in conflict with your conscious mind, we know the subconscious is going to win.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? It usually plays out as self-sabotage.
Very true, which is one of the reasons why my husband was a neuro-linguistic programming expert, and I was just floored by what he did. So I went and got myself certified this year. I'm like, I think I can do it. And I'm floored by how successful some of these processes can be to communicate to the unconscious, to eradicate some of those limiting beliefs. But if you don't know they're there, it's so hard to address. But I know not everybody can take a 2-year sabbatical to work on themselves, but I know that your program has a way that people can work on themselves as a part of their daily experience. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing with your coaching program, the different levels you have, and what would be right for a solopreneur who, let's say, is in the midst of, the initial stages of building their business. How could they get started learning from you and gaining that knowledge that you've gotten over a lifetime?
All right. So what I did is I created 3 levels: the Apprentice level, the Alchemy level, and the Anarchist level. So somebody's just scuffling. Their health is terrible. Their relationships are terrible. They don't make the kind of money they want. They're in a dead end job, or they hate their boss, or their boss hates them. They're miserable. They're just thinking negative thoughts. They need to just begin with the Apprentice level, right? And we've got to change their mindset from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness. We have to get you to the point, and it takes time, but depending on how much you're willing to put in it, but at some moment, there will be a tipping point. There will be a moment where 50.0000001% of their thoughts are positive. And when that happens, Instead of expecting the shoe to drop, expecting bad things to happen, right? What happens? Somebody goes to a party, there's a door prize there, they win. I can't believe it. I can't believe I won. Well, what are you programming yourself? They're at dinner with the kid, they knock over their Coke. I knew that was going to happen. Oh, really? You knew. What are you programming yourself with? How does that come about? They're negative thoughts. Their predominant default setting is negative. But once we get, even if it's 1/10 millionth of a percent over the line from 50%, that will lead to another positive thought, which will make it a little less negative. And that will lead to another one. And then it'll start to snowball rolling down the hill instead of up the hill. So if somebody's really in that kind of place, the first level. The middle level, the alchemy level. Well, what is alchemy? Remember, that was the great mystics who wanted to convert base metals like lead into gold. It's about transmutation. That's why I chose that name at that level. So that level is for somebody they are positive, they believe in prosperity, they are ambitious, they want to do better. But I have so many solopreneurs, this is the perfect spot for them. If you just can't break that $1 million a year barrier in terms of income. So if you're there and you're saying, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm getting after it, I'm working my face off, I listen to Gary V podcast every morning and I work, and okay, but I just can't break that $1 million, then come in at the alchemy level. And then finally, the anarchist level is for the people who are over $1 million. And a lot of them, frankly, I mean, the new cohort is actually starting in January, right? So I know just 5 or 6 of the new people in the anarchist level that I've had the interview and I've approved them. I mean, they're just mad genius to what I don't even want to tell you the age of this kid who has built a company that has a valuation of $200 million already. Just crazy stuff, right? But I also have to say that at that level, those are the people who come in and the money isn't even an issue for them. They make millions of dollars, but they're there because they don't know how to take a day off. They're there because they've been grinding their company for 27 years. They got private jets. They got a house. They have a beach house. They have a summer house. They got all the bling bling. They got all the cars, but they haven't had a vacation in 28 years. And they wouldn't know how to take one if they did. They would not know what to do. I basically have to tackle them, wrestle them to the ground, and pry the telephone out of their fingers, and, to teach them a concept like a no device day.
Yeah.
Say, no, if Sunday is your family day, you let the office know that's a no device day. You're not even going to be checking the phone. And so I have to teach them how to take a day off. Sometimes I have to teach them how to do vacations. I have to teach them how to have a date night with their spouse. Or we got to talk about the health or the relationships and the things like that. So that's there's a level that's right for everyone. And that's on my website called Breakthrough You. Click the link, read it, and you'll know what's the right level for you, I feel.
Yeah, amazing. We will have links in the show notes about all of that. Just as a final question, what does it do for you? How does this light you up, helping these people get their lives in order?
This is my whole work. This is my reason for being. It's my mission. I want to make the world more prosperous. I want to reach the kids who were like me, who zigged when they should have zagged, the at-risk kids, the kids in jail, the kids in halfway houses, the kids facing addiction. And I want to help the Gen Z people and the Gen Alpha people right now, especially. The whole system is stacked against them. If you're a Gen Z person, right, you spend a much bigger percentage of your income on your car than your parents did at that age. You have no shot of buying a house, and your parents already had one at this age, probably. Your credit card debt, your student loan debt, the whole system is stacked against you. Whereas me, my generation, the baby boomers, we own all the wealth. We have such a disproportionate share of it. But I've got to reach those people, and I have to show them you don't have to be a victim. You don't, even though the whole system is stacked against you, it was stacked against me. I'm a high school dropout, single mother, raised 3 kids. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college until my kid's sister went. She was the first one to break the cycle, right? It was against me, but I made it. There are people in the barrios of Sao Paulo who can break out. There's people in Liberty City and Overtown here and National City in San Diego, and wherever you are, there are people of your age, your demographic, your religion, your ethnicity that still make it, right? Yeah. It's the worst time to be a Gen Z person in one sense, but I guarantee you the next 5 years we'll probably have 5 or 10 or 15 Gen Z billionaires, 21-year-old kids who are multi-billionaires. I actually believe, this is the thesis of my new book, and I'm testing it. I'm really testing it. And it's not as crazy as it sounds. I really believe it's probably easier to become a billionaire today than it is to become a millionaire, because of just something I call the magnitude of scale. And the more bold, audacious, imaginative your goal is, the easier it is to attract the people and the resources that will make that happen. People love to go on an adventure like that. It's crazy, but true. It's easier to make a lot of money quickly than it is to make a little amount of money slowly. If you don't believe me, talk to the experts. Go ask a real estate person. Is it easier to sell a $10 million home or a $200,000 home? And every single one of them will tell you it's easier to sell a $10 million home. Go to the car dealership. Hey, Mr. Bugatti dealership, is it easier to sell a $3.5 million Veyron or a $40,000 Toyota? And they'll tell you the Veyron, because the people who come in to buy a Veyron, they don't have to worry about getting their credit approved. They just wire the money. They pay cash for that. It's an impulse buy. They saw it in a magazine or they saw it on Instagram, said, oh, I need one of those. And they run down and they buy it. The guy or the gal with the Toyota, she's saving up her down payment for 4 months. She has to borrow it from her mother or her sister-in-law or her brother-in-law, right? Then she has to get the credit approved. Then she's got to sacrifice and she got to figure the budget. And I'm upside down on the last car. Can we flip that in? Which is crazy, but they do it, right? It's the other thing, ask the Toyota dealer, hey, how many deals go south every week? They say, oh my God, you can't believe, Randy. For every 10 deals I do, 4 of them fall through because they can't get the financing. So it's the same here. If you will go big and, bold, daring, imaginative stuff, goals like that, you'll attract people to do that. And believe it or not, it's easier to get to be successful at that level than it is to do it at the slow, steady, incremental levels, because you're not motivated, you're not inspired, you don't inspire the people, you don't attract the people that you need to take that forward.
As they say, shoot that directly into my veins. That was amazing. That was just brilliant. And I think a lot of times people are they think about their businesses, they think about their lives of like, okay, let's stay safe, let's stay here, let's do what we can, maybe we'll have enough for a vacation. But but those bold, audacious dreams are where miracles and where true fulfillment lie. But so many people just hold themselves back from believing in the possibility of it. But uh, I'm going to believe it because, Randy, you told me to. So thank you so much. I know we've gone over a little on time and I want to respect your time, but I will have links in the show notes. But for those who are listening, how do people find you? Where are you most active on social media?
All right. I very likely you won't find me on social media. Pretty much, we have a team that works it. If a book comes out, I'm doing a public seminar or something, we'll put it on there. But it's just become such a toxic sludge dump of negativity and virtue signaling, imposing that I don't know. I was off it all completely for a time, and it's a good likelihood I'll be off it again.
Yeah.
But as of now, I mean, I'm on X, I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
Facebook, of course. But the place to find me is randygage.com. That's kind of my
Yes.
central site. Everything comes off there. My Breakthrough You Accelerator program is there, my podcast, my blog,
That
all of the
that
programs,
PDF.
public programs I'm doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can just randygage.com. And yeah, that homepage, get that PDF on the 7 elements of an abundant life because it's free.
Amazing. Well, I cannot thank you enough for this conversation. You've given me so much to think about, and I know my audience is just going to love everything that you've dropped here as well. So thank you for being here today.
All right. Thanks for having me on.